Hello again, it's Dr. Shamonki following up with you on the latest developments in stem cells and the coronavirus. We've been posting some of the latest news stories about physicians turning to stem cells for the potential treatment of symptoms associated with the coronavirus. We heard from many of you with some great questions. I will attempt to answer many of those questions here in some short video segments, so stay tuned. As you know, this is a rapidly moving disease, and it is very early in the evolution of our understanding of which therapies will be effective in helping us fight this virus. We've been quite encouraged by the early case reports out of China, where physicians have used newborn stem cells to help reduce the damaging inflammation that ultimately hurts the respiratory system as a consequence of this viral infection. And the reason this is encouraging is because it's consistent with what we know newborn stem cells are good at. Right now, there are many international clinical trials starting. It's quite new in the process, so we're following this closely, and we will be updating you as soon as we know more encouraging information. All U.S. investigations will need to work within the rules and regulations of the FDA, and that means within a clinical trial. It's important to all of us that stem cells are used in novel ways through the clinical trial format. That's how we know if these therapies are safe and effective. With that said, CBR will be very supportive of any of our families who are enrolling in clinical trials to ensure that you have access to your newborn stem cells. So the good news is the FDA is fast-tracking new therapies right now through the Coronavirus Treatment Acceleration Protocol. The idea is to bring as many interventions as possible to COVID patients while supporting clinical trials that will help establish which of those treatments are safe and which are effective. So we may not see an actual approved new use immediately. However, you should be able to access stem cells through clinical trials. CBR is working right now to help support research in order to get stem cells into clinical trials to support addressing this disease. Given that this is such a new disease, there are still many questions about which treatments are likely to work the best. In this circumstance, you're more likely to see increased research and more clinical trials being started rather than physicians immediately turning toward off-label use or compassionate use. The good news is that the more data we have, the more confidence we will have that this treatment is effective. So it's important to understand that every compassionate use scenario is different. Therefore, I can't offer you a one-size-fits-all solution around compassionate use. However, if your physician is enrolling any of your family members in a clinical trial or is interested in using your stem cells for compassionate use, rest assured CBR has a team of clinicians that will work with you and with your medical team to ensure that your family can access your newborn stem cells. It's highly unlikely that your cord blood could be contaminated either by the collection team, a doctor, or our facility, and this is for several reasons. First of all, as of today, the FDA does not believe that the coronavirus is spread through human cells and tissues, such as through a blood transfusion or through a tissue transplant. The other reason is that the cord blood is collected by a healthcare provider following universal precautions. From the time the cord blood is collected, it's put into a bag, which is a closed system. Because of that closed system, it's never exposed to the outside world. And that's from the time of collection to delivery to our facility, processing in our laboratory, and ultimately cryopreserved in our tanks. For that reason, it is very unlikely that your cord blood could be exposed to the coronavirus. CBR is very committed to advancing research and therapeutic options using newborn stem cells. We are working with the medical community right now to help establish a treatment for COVID. I promise to update you as more information and more opportunities become available.